Brenna Thomas. Every student can learn, just not on the same day and not in the same way. We all have goals in our lives, and not only goals, but we have needs, especially academically. We're all at a certain point in our lives, in our learning careers, where we're realizing how different ways are helping us more than others. Schools should not abolish talented and gifted programs. First, I'll talk about the academic and social functions of students in these programs, and finally, I will talk about if these programs lead to later in life success. To start off, we're going to learn about the different needs of the students in these programs. There are 5 different needs, according to Anastasia Kitsantas, professor of Education Psychology at the College of Education and Human Development at George Mason University. She wrote in the Journal of Education and Gifted that was published in 2017. The first need is that students in these programs need continuously and progressively challenging learning opportunities. These students do not want their answers handed to them. They know the hard work and strong efforts that are put forth into completing something. Next, these students need the opportunities to learn or to work independently. We've all worked with a student who does absolutely no work or simply has no idea what's going on. They're taking credit for your hard work when they don't deserve it. After that, a key strategy for these students is accelerated pacing. These students do not like to stay on the topic for longer than needed. Moving too slow will often dull their interest in the activity. Next is interacting with functioning peers. Interacting with alike peers is very helpful in these classes or programs because they understand the needs that are wanted along with understanding everyone's differences as well. Lastly is instructional delivery and curricula. These students like to know exactly what has to be done in the exact order it should be completed. Along with the needs, there are also many different social functionings that these students need. The functions that I'll be listing are positive functions that students in these programs have provided. Most students in these programs have similar characteristics or interests. Being in with like students helps for your personal growth because knowing that the students are in the same shoes as you can boost your confidence and help you grow, but not only that, it helps you feel so you aren't like an outsider. These students are accepting you for you. Overall, the students in these programs have 4 main functions, and not only in education, but in life. Their functions are challenge, differentiation, conceptual understanding, and regulation. Next, I will talk about if these programs lead to later in life success. According to David M. Walsh, a professor of economics at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, and David M. Zimmer, who works in the Department of Economics at Western Kentucky, wrote in the Journal of Labor Research that was published in 2018, they wrote about a 17-year-long experiment. The experiment was about a group of 12 to 16-year-olds who took a survey every year until the year of 2013. The survey was to measure 3 later in life activities. The first one being how many of them graduated from a 4-year college, how many of them were employed by the year of 2013, and lastly, how much income they earned by the year of 2013. The data showed that 70 of the students had graduated from a 4-year college with a 32% non-participation rate, and 89% of the students had been employed by the year 2013 with an 85% non-participation rate. Lastly, the data showed that students who grew up in the talented and gifted programs roughly earned around $50,000 a year, while the students not in the programs only earned about $40,000 a year. The data does show that being in these programs does look for later in life success. There's 3 conclusions made from this experiment. The experiment showed that a large fraction of the correlations possess traits from families such as parental income or parental education. And the next being observed was that the links between the programs and later in life success showed that the students who were in the programs already had high academic abilities. Lastly, it showed that the school characteristics had little to do, but it still seemingly improved. Lastly, an understanding from a principal's point of view. According to Dave Anderson, principal at Zimbrota Mazeppa High School, with his master's degree in education from Hamline University, stated, "Schools should not abolish talented and gifted programs." He believes that being in these programs helps you be more independent and that is helping you with your next chapter of life, being college. He also stated that being in these programs gives you a type of challenge and competition that helps so you don't only see your own perspective, but you see everyone else's perspective as well. Hearing all this data, we can conclude that eliminating these programs will not give any benefit. First, I talked about the students' academic and social functionings in these programs. And lastly, I talked about if these programs lead to later in life success. Schools should not abolish talented and gifted programs. Certain students excel at different levels and are above certain education standards, while being a part of the talented and gifted programs gives more opportunities of success for students in these programs. This success would not be made possible without gifted and talented programs.
513.